Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the persons of Master Farad Muhammad, and I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed thine exalted Christ. And I furthermore indeed bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is our big brother, warner, friend, leader, teacher, and guide. I greet you all in the nation greeted words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of Brother Abba Muhammad and the Let Us Make Man family, as always, family, we continuously thank you for your support. We thank you for taking a few moments of your time to watch the videos, read our posts, support our cause, our efforts in the plight of the black community. We could never thank you enough. We'd like to take a few moments of your time, family. As always, we do our very best to minimize the time that we take and get straight to the point. This particular session, we want to deal with the making of a God, and killing a nigga in me. The making of a God and killing the nigga in me. When God made man, as we understand scripture, he didn't make a nigga. He didn't make an ordinary man. God made an extraordinary man. A unique human being, spiritually, mentally, and physically, like unto himself. What is the criterion to be a God, man? What does it take to be a God? See, many of us want the description of a God, but not many of us are willing to endure the trials, the tribulations that comes with being a God. God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. It wasn't an easy task. For God it was. But for those of us who are striving to be God-like, we can bear witness. It's definitely not an easy task to adapt the God-like spirit in a man, today's man. Well, who can make a God? See, the title or the subject is the making of a God. Who can make a God, man? Who has the ability to make a God? To make one like unto himself, man. There's only one man on deck today. One man on the scene that has the ability to make a God, to make saviors. And I speak of none other than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He has been given the insight, the strength, the power, the endurance from his father. He sits in place of his father, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was taught by God in person. You could take it or let it alone. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad was taught by God in person. He was given multiple forms of wisdom to give to us. The scripture says, worthy is the Lamb that looked like he'd been slain from the bottomless pits of the earth. It was he that was able to take the book out of the right hand of him who sat at the throne. Huh? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, "This is my minister, Farrakhan. Wherever he say go is where we go. Wherever he say stay from is where we stay from. Farrakhan is the man that can make a God out of our ratchet, raggedy conditions, mentally and spiritually. Many of us come in the name of Allah, but only a few of us are chosen. Huh? Many of us like to profess that we meet the criterion to be godlike, but the nigger in us won't allow us to elevate above that triple state of darkness. Huh? So we come before the people as if we are that one. Huh? As if we are flawless. Huh? As if we made it. And we don't need to stay within the light of the Father, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. There are many of us who don't think that we can learn anymore, or we've heard it all. Huh? We stunt our own growth and development. Huh? Claiming to be something that we're really not. Huh? I find it very interesting, right, that many of us who profess some sort of religious ideology, theology, however you want to term it, and we pick and choose who we want to represent in a just manner. Huh? What is justice? One's reward or penalty for their acts or deeds. Huh? See, God is a just God, man. He has no favors. When he execute the law, he execute the law on a just manner. Huh? He doesn't nitpick. He doesn't side. I'm talking about God, man. The true and living God that walks, breathes, and talks. There is no mystery gods, man. The scripture tells you itself. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was God. The Word was with God. Then the Word became flesh. So if that be the case, then that tells you there is no mystery gods, man. There's a state of confusion that sets among the body of men and women who are so confused into what they believe their mission is. Huh? Why would you worry if God is on your side? And if you're doing the work of the God, about anything outside of that, anything outside of that would be irrelevant to you. Because you're doing the work of the God, man. You're raising the dead. How can you raise the dead without knowledge? or a superficial form of knowledge. The self-accusing spirit be eating you alive, causing you to have animosity, grief with your brother or your sister in the name of some form of religion. Huh? See, God told Moses, according to the scripture, remove your shoes. The ground you're standing on is holy ground. See? Remove your shoes, Lord, because the ground you're standing on is holy ground. And Moses had to comply because he is being raised to an elevated state of consciousness of something he had no knowledge or conscious of, that God is real. God is a man. They said God spoke to Moses through a burning bush. But that wasn't referring to no physical burning bush. That burning bush was the fire coming out the mouth of a man that was being fed to Moses. See, as God was speaking to Moses, God was making a God out of Moses, man. He was implementing in Moses the kind of wisdom and strength that it would take for Moses to go on to Pharaoh with the heart of a lion and say, let my people go. Though Pharaoh looked at him like he was crazy. There's something that we have to endure in order to become a God. We have to go through a form of purification. See? There has to be some form of purification to be a God. Huh? How do you think you're going to be a God just because you say, I'm in the Nation of Islam, I'm in the Christian church, I'm in the Episcopal, whatever type of church, Catholic church, Roman church, I'm a Sunni, Shiite, Ansar, Qudsi. That doesn't make you a God, man. It's the sacrifice that you have to make, the unseen sacrifice, which means you don't have to go before nobody to speak of anything that you've done or you're doing, because God see it all, man. See? Many come in the name of Allah, but only a few are chosen. The nigger in us in 2019 has to be exposed, has to be eliminated from among us in order for us to have any chance of becoming a God. What do you mean, brother? I'll tell you this way, plain and simple. If you cannot show love equally across the board, be it black, white, green, yellow, or purple, then you will catch hell becoming a God. Because the duty of a civilized person is to civilize the human families of the planet Earth. So teaches the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in our Supreme Wisdom book. It didn't say the black person, the white person, the green person. It spoke about the civilized. The duty of a civilizer. Can we teach hate from across the rostrum? Absolutely. Most of the times, many of us are not even aware of that because we're so caught up into what we believe we're speaking is truth. But in reality, we're spewing hate, division, animosity, madness right across rostrums, from the Muslims to the Christians, the Buddha, all sorts of organized religion. Huh? I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say, I am not a religious person or a religious man. Huh? Because that comes with traditions. I'm a poor righteous teacher. So I myself personally, Brother Albert Muhammad, do not consider myself to be a religious man. Though I study religious ideologies. Studying it is one thing. That's called learning. You study things, you learn things to deal with people, generally speaking. Huh? I never put myself in a position to think that I'm better than anybody. And if I do, I humbly apologize. It's never been my intention from my youth, coming up as a young man. I've always been a part of striving to be or build a brotherhood from the dark side of men. See? If you're one of those individuals that feels that you have to be on guard all the time because someone is out to get you, then you're dealing with some psychological imbalances. That's a reality. Welcome to Denial America. Because a lot of times, many of us are in denial. We deny our reality. See? We deny the fact that we are struggling with that which we say we believe. Huh? If you do something from the heart, doesn't have to be talked about. God will make it reveal, or God will reveal it to those who need to see or need to know. But God is the first one that knows. He knows before we even do it. Who is that? The God within. I told you there is no mystery gods, man. I'm speaking about the God, the inner God, the God himself, the God that causes you to think to the left or think to the right. The God that knows exactly what you're going to do before you do it. That's the God himself. We have to know the reality of who is making a God or who has the ability to make a God. See? Knowledge is power, man. But power or knowledge in the wrong hands can be dangerous. Because once you put knowledge in the wrong hands, you're also putting power in the wrong hands. At that point, it becomes dangerous. That's a reality. That's a reality. God came in the persons of Master Farad Muhammad in 1930 and raised for us the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And in the ratchet conditions that black people were in at that point in time, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had one of the roughest jobs that could have ever been put on man. And that was to go out seeking and searching and saving that which was lost. The lost found Muslims here in the wilderness of North America. the black man and the black woman. God came and took the time that was necessary to make a God. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad worked night and day for over 40 years, striving to make gods, to make saviors, that in 2019, black people in America wouldn't be killing each other the way we do at an all-time high. At an all-time high. Out of control rate is how we do one another. Because we have fell off, or we've been led astray from the reality and the path to God. Something that would save us. We have been led astray by those who came in the name of Allah, but their motives and intentions was not that of what Master Farad Muhammad gave the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Their motives and intentions are nowhere near close to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is teaching us today. How could it be? If you're out of tune, how could it be? If you're out of touch, if you ain't in tune with what's going on in headquarters, whatever organization you're in, if you ain't connected with your national, if you ain't moving on the same path and the same strength,